Hi, welcome back to our launch this morning. It's my great pleasure to introduce a very dear friend of mine, someone that I look up to and often seek counsel and advice from, especially in the data space. The Senior Corporate Vice President of HCL Technologies, a multi-billion dollar IT firm that's changing the entire IT landscape, and specifically the landscape of data analytics, cybersecurity for a lot of the Fortune 500 and Fortune 1000 companies. It's my pleasure to have Anand Birje with me today. Morning, Anand. How are you?
Thanks, Raj. How are you? Good to see you again.
Anand, we'll just get to the point because I'm sure a lot of our viewers have been waiting for this segment. You started this, what you call the Mode 2 services offering within HCL a few years ago, and it was a double-digit million business. And this was the faith that data analytics, cybersecurity, etc., would be what your clients would want to differentiate themselves. Tell us about that journey. Where did you start from? Where did you end up? And what were some of the drivers?
Thanks, Raj. Yeah, first of all, congratulations on the rebrand and SingleStore. I like the logo. It defines continuity and scaling, I guess, which is so very critical in the data business. We'll talk about that. But it's been a phenomenal journey for HCL Technologies. As you saw in the recently declared results, we've grown once again in this quarter faster than the market. Over the last 4 years, we've, as a company, grown nearly 60% cumulative, and the nearest sort of average IT services competitors have grown at 25% cumulative in the last 4 years, and some at 15% cumulative in the same time frame. So it's been a surreal growth journey for us, and I think one of the defining factors in this journey was what we call as our Mode 1, 2, 3 strategy. We took capabilities that we had and then capabilities that were relevant to where the market, the enterprise market, was going in their digital transformation agenda. Capabilities such as application modernization, capabilities that included redefining processes and business consulting through design and process consulting, capabilities around data fabric engineering and data analytics, capabilities around IoT and IoT integration, and finally cybersecurity, and all of that enabled through cloud native services. These services for us were less than 10% of our revenues 4 years ago. And they were, as you said, in a few $100 million type of paradigm number. Our services in this area grew 30% CAGR each of the last 3 years. So almost tripled to become almost 30% of our overall revenue base. And as I said, the overall revenue has grown phenomenally during this time frame. So what does it mean? It signifies two things: that our hypothesis of where the market was going and where the enterprise market is going to be spending has proven right. Enterprises have disproportionately spent on modernizing their IT infrastructure, their IT applications, their data topologies to enable their digital transformation programs or to execute them, right? Digital strategy was all around rethinking, reimagining their business processes and enabling those through modern composable architectures at the applications layer, the data layer, and of course at the cloud native infrastructure layer. And I think our ability to participate through differentiated capabilities has allowed us to scale and really grow better than the market in this time frame. And the other thing I would like to say is this is something that we saw initially in some of the more progressive B2C type of industries happening. But in the last 2 years, we've seen B2C, B2B, B2B2C, literally every aspect of value chain across all industries transforming digitally faster. And so the growth has been across verticals, across geographies for us, which is very exciting. And well, this all till the COVID hit us. And what I keep saying is what's changed in the last 9 months is enterprises have been shocked into digital, right? So if there was a certain pace at which we saw growth last 4 years, it's only going to accelerate. And we've already seen that acceleration in the last few months. And it's just the tip of the iceberg. So enterprises who want to survive and want to thrive across industries are rethinking their entire business agenda and realigning their focus in terms of efforts, dollars on IT transformation, on digital transformation, to be able to become more nimble, agile, and survive and thrive in the market ahead. So it's exciting
No,
times for people like you and me.
exactly, and it's so great always to exchange ideas here. And I'm sorry you're hearing my 3.5-year-old work colleague in the background. So I do pardon, seek your pardon on that. You made a very good point about companies being shocked into digital transformation. I think it was 15 or 20 years ago when Mark Andreessen made a statement that every company is a software company. I think what he was alluding to was every company is going to run most of its processes which are automated and use software to do so, right? But I do think increasingly, Anand, every company, whether it be an energy company or a bank or a telco, they are increasingly becoming a data company. Would you tend to agree with that?
Yeah, of course, every company is becoming a technology driven business transformation agenda company. And as you said, data is becoming the core of all of that. Actually, very recently, when the last World Economic Forum concluded in Davos, right before the pandemic hit us, one of the largest European pharmaceutical company CEOs, um, um, this is Novartis, because he's made the statement publicly, said that they are actually a data company and then a pharmaceutical company. Now, remember, a lot of the retailers have been saying this for a while. A lot of the digital born native online retailers have also been saying this for a while. But for pharmaceutical companies, for automotives, for manufacturing firms to kind of reposition themselves as data first companies and building their product journeys, their service journeys, their consumer engagement, their employee engagement, their partner engagement, all around the data nucleus is becoming kind of the new paradigm. And I think as I said, it's just the start of this journey. We're going to see more and more of this adoption across the enterprise.
Yeah, no, we're seeing that in healthcare too, Anand. In fact, we are helping a very, very large Medicare provider in the States with their entire pharmaceutical management. What prescription drug and what database to sort of swift through to make sure that it's the right drug, the least expensive drug, which does or performs the best on that patient to actually come through. So we are increasingly seeing that. Since you tend to get a cockpit view of what are some of the changes in the industry and how many of those changes are actually being driven by data itself, two questions really. One is, what are a couple of your favorite examples? And secondly, I think, and you and I have spoken about this, what do you think will be the technology of the future which helps the customers derive and realize the kind of results that they're hoping to accomplish to survive and thrive?
So it's a really broad question, and it's at the same time a very critical question that a lot of enterprise CEOs, CIOs, CDOs are asking themselves. They're asking and conversing with partners like us and ecosystem, advisors across the board. At the fundamental level, I think one thing is clear: enterprises are understanding that if they are more agile in their business architecture, if they have a business architecture that allows them to be nimble, flexible, and adapt as market shifts, they're going to be able to survive and actually thrive. We've seen that already, even as of today, 9 months in the pandemic. In every industry vertical, enterprises have done extremely well, and enterprises have really been laggards in the same vertical, whether it is banking, whether it is consumer enterprises, whether it is manufacturing, automotives, aerospace, pharmaceuticals, healthcare. Enterprises that were probably preparing themselves over the last 5 years, or were advanced in their digital transformation journeys, or had been executing towards this goal of being agile in their business architecture, have actually come out better, irrespective of how either the supply side or the demand side or both sides have hit them, because they've been able to morph their businesses, they've been able to deliver products and services to their customers faster, in touchless delivery, even during the pandemic. And we've seen this across verticals. So that's at the macro level. So what does that really mean, right? Enterprises are now clear that IT and technologies that they had adopted 20 years ago were largely focused on efficiency adoption. They were not really for effectiveness, flexibility, agility, or experience. So while they had automated their business processes by adopting the then available architectures, which were largely monolithic, which were largely difficult to change, inflexible in terms of the ability to modernize, somewhere came in the way of the business agility, right? Versus what we've seen in the last 5 years is really a push towards becoming more cloud native, towards becoming more composable, to create value chains, especially where enterprises see themselves differentiating. So if you're a retailer, your ability to service your consumer, ability to source your products and then deliver them or price them effectively has to be agile. You need to be able to react to changes in the market. And so if your systems and technologies that really enable these processes are not agile, you're not going to be able to really take heed of the market changes and prevail in those changes, right? So across every value chain, if you look at banking, increasingly banks are becoming not just sort of touchless in their consumer engagement, they're becoming touchless in everything from fraud detection, in what is called as KYC, know your customer in banking, which typically meant the customer or consumer went into the branch, identified himself or herself, presented the documents, and your KYC processes move forward. But everything from consumer banking to insurance to B2B banking to capital markets are becoming more and more touchless. And so there is a huge adoption of composable, consumable architectures in banking. We're seeing that in insurance, we're seeing that in healthcare, we're seeing that in pharmaceutical. The third layer to this is really data, right? So there is a huge emphasis on bringing the data conversation as soon as possible. Traditionally, what happened is when business transformation was talked about, it started with value chain and business process discussions, very quickly followed with where are we going to implement it, and hence selection of applications, custom versus industry standard, SaaS versus on-prem, etc. Was only then followed by a data conversation, right? Data was the afterthought. I always joke about it. But today, conversations are starting when, as soon as a business transformation discussion is discussed or had, everybody is wanting to discuss. So, what are the data sources? What kind of data we're going to need, or will come out of these business systems? What are the sources of this data? What is the quality of data? What is the resilience of data? And I think that is becoming a mainstream conversation. That's number two or three. I think the other big paradigm shift is, traditionally we looked at data in terms of operational data, transactional data, and so on and so forth. I think increasingly, because all of this transformation is happening in systems of differentiation, I think there is going to be a need for hybrid data architectures, data structures that are good enough not just for transactions and operations, but also for advanced analytics, for near real-time analytics. And so those are some of the high-level changes we are seeing in the market, again, driven by the macro of digital transformation, which is becoming a de facto for enterprises to survive.
Now that's sage advice, Anand. Thank you so very much. I love the Novartis comment, and who would have thought that a drug manufacturer would actually make that statement of being a data company? In fact, there are a number of topics that we are covering today where data is being used to solve problems which we never thought it would be used to solve. Anand, as I said, thank you very much, my friend, for joining us on this very momentous occasion on this day where we are rebirthing our technology. I so look forward to working with you and your team. Our teams are working very well together and to delivering success to our joint customers. So thank you very much for your time and stay safe.
To everybody at SingleStore, and we look forward to working with you across markets and solving some unique problems for our customers across industries. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much, Anand. Stay well.